Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Outside Insider podcast here on Philly Sports Network with myself, Liam Jenkins. By now, you all know the score. It's all things Eagles related from the last 7 days, but minor quibble, slight spanner in the works. Someone's just lobbed that in there, really clumsily. Nothing's really happened over the last 7 days. I think the most exciting thing to come out of the Eagles has probably been a nature documentary on an actual eagle. So that's a bit weird. We're alien to this. It's normally an absolute merry-go-round. That's probably the most unexciting. We'll go with a roller coaster. Probably the one we should have gone with there. But to combat this, I wasn't going to leave you guys without content. And we can't talk about my love life just yet because that would probably be even less eventful than the last 7 days of the Eagles off-season. So I raided WIP once again, and this time I brought on a guest that I've wanted on for quite some time, Jack Fritz, the man behind the WIP evening show, and of course features on podcasts such as High Hopes, Go Birds, and Art of the Take. So we break down all things Eagles, Bryce Harper, and so much more. If you're new around here, guys, make sure you're slamming that subscribe button on whatever platform you want, really. We've got iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and even a microwave. You can hit the open button, counts as a subscription. So be sure to do that. I've got a cup of tea that's ready to be spilled. So joining me right now on the Outside Insider podcast for the first time ever. I mean, last week, we had Elliot Shaw-Parks. We pinched him from WIP. I think I'm just rummaging through their staff at the moment, if I'm brutally honest. So we've got Jack Fritz on board. So Fritz Adelphia himself. How are you doing?
Good, man. I mean, honestly, are you more excited for Elliot or me? I mean, Elliot, he thinks he's more than he is, with his takes. But I mean, after last week, I mean, did you see his Jim from The Office take? It was just he's had a rough week. It's been a bad week for Elliot.
Yeah, and with that, I'm from the UK, right? So my heart is always with the English version of The Office, anyway.
Of course, yeah.
But that one, that's probably his most controversial take ever. There's no denying it.
Yeah, and it's just a shame that, he's on your podcast and it was looking good, and then he comes out and does that. It wasn't a great PR week for Elliot Shore-Parks, honestly.
So I DM'd him, was like, right, I need your most fire take on a podcast, right? I'm like, I'm basically homeless, I need something to save it, and you're the man to do it. And he comes on and just talks about the Eagles, and a day later just blows Twitter up with The Office. So he's he's hiding something from me.
Yeah,
but I wanted to start off with asking you something a little bit un-Eagles related, and that's: are you aware that you've got a Fritzy burner account?
Yeah, listen, I don't know who that person is. People think it's me. It's not me. And he is like. The weirdest part is he's been around for like a year. Jack Fritz Adelphia or whatever is legendary, and he's been around for like a year, and then I post a picture of me wearing this Fightin' Phil's podcast or Fightin' Phil sweatshirt, and he has the same exact sweatshirt. I don't know if I'm being stalked. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, no, he likes me, I guess. I don't know. I guess some people think what I do is good.
I mean, you're basically a pop star at this point. You've got your own Stan account. That's impressive. I mean, if I hit that level, Reddit's a scary enough place as it is for me. I couldn't imagine ever someone having a Twitter, like a Jenkins Adelphia type burner account.
The first time I saw it, I was like, "What is this?" And I texted all my friends. I was like, "Is this you? Is this you?" And honest to God, it's not any of them. I don't know who it is. It's crazy.
So for anyone that doesn't know kind of who Jack Fritz is or what Jack Fritz is doing, other than making burner accounts for himself, I'm just giving the people obviously a bit of insight. So obviously you work with WIP on the evening show, but also you've got a couple of podcasts as well.
Yeah, so I do the High Hopes podcast, which is the podcast I do with James Seltzer. Now I have to say I do that podcast with James Seltzer because last week I got interviewed about Harper Lent, and I said the guy I do the podcast with. So everyone got mad at me because I was talking to a San Francisco place, and I was like, I froze, and I was like, the guy I do the podcast with just slipped out rather than giving my friend James Seltzer credit. So I do the podcast with a guy named James Seltzer who has a newborn daughter, and we talk about the Phillies. So I want to make sure that I don't mess that up again because everyone ripped me for that. So I do the High Hopes podcast with James Seltzer. I also have the Art of the Take podcast, which people take way too seriously. It's literally a sarcastic podcast about takes that people think that we are like destroying the universe. It's weird. And then there's Counterpoint, which I do on the Go Birds pod, that we are in talks of turning into a 4 for 4 podcast rather than just being an Eagles only podcast. So yeah, That's the story.
See, this is where I play the ooh type of noise, but I don't have one saved, so you've just got to go with that for now.
Okay, sounds good.
But obviously, like, you're a busy guy, and with the Go Birds podcast as well. See, I've always wondered now, and I was thinking this a few weeks back after listening to a few shows, because obviously that was the story with BGN, and it kind of becoming its own entity, which was awesome. But do you ever just... Because people in Philadelphia, right, they love just screaming Go Birds all the time. Like, that's just the thing. Even in London, they did that. And at me, which was a bit weird. But when people do it at you, do you wonder if it is ever... Oh, my God, they listen to the show. Hey, you just get the pen out ready for an autograph? Or, like, is it just, does that ever happen?
Do people ask me for autographs?
No, they just kind of go Birds. You're like, yeah,
coming. So I'm mad at John Barchard and him, like, because this is going to sound weird, Liam, but... I don't like being Go Birds in public because I never know how to respond. Like it is, everyone has their awkward encounters. You know what I mean? Like when people say stuff in public. For me, I have no idea why, but it's Go Birds. Like if someone yells Go Birds at me, I have no idea how to respond. I literally freeze up. So John, I did this whole bit on Counterpoint about this, and then John messes around and names the whole thing Go Birds, and I'm like, yo, dude. Do you know that that's like the most awkward interaction thing for me? So I don't handle the Go Birds thing very well. I have not had one good interaction in public with Go Birds because I usually just like put my head down and walk away. I don't know why, Liam. I freeze up.
So we had it in London. So when the Eagles came over, and I remember. So my weirdest story was after the game. I was staying in Wembley, right, which conveniently enough is where the game was held. I thought, brilliant, right. What can possibly go wrong? Apparently, Wembley's a big place. I didn't know that. And I had to get, like, an Uber from the stadium to my apartment, which was fine. The problem was that my phone was on 2%. It was dying. It was cold. I had no idea where I was. I didn't want to get a bus. I was in some Chinese restaurant trying to use their charger. And I was outside and there was this big dude coming towards me, like covered in tattoos, big Eagles bomber jacket on. And he saw my jersey and goes, Go Birds! And it was like really low voice. And I was like, Go Birds! And he was like, oh my God, you're Liam Jenkins. And I was like, don't kill me, please don't kill me. And then he gave me a little hug. And he gave me a hug and he said hello and it was really sweet. So,
listen, Eagles fans are great. Like for as much as like the national rep is like, oh my God, they're the worst fans in the world. Like I get the Go Birds thing about how like it's just the most family type thing. That's how the Eagles are. Like the Eagles are a family more than a sports team. Yeah. And when you see fellow Eagles fans out and do the Go Birds thing, it's fantastic. Just for me, I can never have a normal interaction. Can I ask you a question though?
You can go for it. Go on.
I've literally been wondering this forever. So like, I think it's so cool when people outside of Philadelphia are like Philadelphia sports fans, because usually the Philadelphia sports fan is from Philadelphia, from the area, and like that's it. Like it's like you're raised in it. When you come out, when you're born into a Philadelphia sports fandom. Like you never see people from outside be Philly sports fans. So like, how did you become an Eagles/Philly sports fan?
It's a weird. I feel like this is the question I get asked most, and I feel like
it makes sense. I mean, you're a diehard and you're a diehard and you know what you're talking about. So it's like it's just wild to me.
I feel bad because like I don't ever want to like give people the short answer. I feel like I'm agitated because people ask me all the time and I'm like, oh fine, I was 14 and then go down this road. Essentially, so I was 14 years old and I got given an Xbox after begging for one for years. And the only game it came with was like Madden 08, and I was like, brilliant. I love that. I've never played American football, never watched it. I just wanted Call of Duty 4. So I was like, that's excellent. I started playing it because I kind of had to. And I randomly selected a team, happened to be the Eagles, and I was like, this is kind of cool. It's like a chess match. And at school, I was never really like the popular kid. So instead of getting thrown in bins, I was like, I'm going to sit in the library and watch NFL top 10s on like my lunch break. And I kind of fell in love with it. And I started looking at the players on the team and realising that it's much more of a culture. And over here, I'm a Charlton Athletic fan, so the football team, and they're awful at everything. So there's no real culture there. And it was the first team I became attached to because I resonated with that. No one likes us. It's us against the world. Like, work hard, blue collar. And I was like, okay. And then from there, I guess it snowballed a little bit. And then one day after working in the media industry and doing TV work, I was like, I want to cover the Eagles. I want to talk about my real passion. I can't just go to Philadelphia and just say, hey, I'm going to cover your team. So I made my own website. And 5 years later, in a week, here we are. That's it. That's been the story.
That's cool, man. I love hearing that kind of stuff.
It's been mad. It's been a weird journey. I still feel like, I mean, we're just getting past the tea and crumpet stage now.
Wait,
I mean, I can put something out.
So what was your first heartbreak moment?
What, with the Eagles or in? Because I mean, I've got a long list of heartbreaks. If you want to,
No. With Philadelphia sports, like with the Eagles and whatnot. It's like, what was the first moment that you were like crushed with the Eagles?
Do you know? I would say there was. Oh, I don't know. The one I most visibly remember was either the last game of the Andy Reid era where they got blew out. I was like, that sucked because like you hate to see it end on that note. I think that was against the Giants. Maybe it was like 20 times. It was like they just got absolutely pummeled.
Yeah. It was a very depressing end to the Andy era.
Yeah, and you look back at it and you're like, oh, do you know what? It's given us so much. It's going to end on a high note, and the whole season was in disarray at that point. And you're like, surely the players are going to rally to. Never mind, just all right, cut it there. Just end it.
Yeah, it was bad. No, yeah, but because it's interesting that you started in 08 because obviously the run before that was crazy. I mean, they had the Rams lost, Bucks lost, Carolina lost in the Super Bowl. Like, you're lucky you weren't an Eagles fan during that time.
I have this habit of picking up sports teams at the worst possible time. So, for instance, I was a Manchester United fan. So, I mean, most Americans have heard of them. And at the age of like 10, I didn't like Man United because they were winning everything and you could predict it. So I was like, I like the colour red. I don't like Man United. I'm just going to support Charlton because they're a bit worse and a bit more fun. And that year they got relegated and they've never been back to the Premier League since. Like, wow. There is something that happens about me and sports teams. I get attached to them and they do awful. So that happened with the Sixers.
And then the Eagles won the Super Bowl and it's all good. So
exactly.
You're back. All right. Sorry for hijacking your podcast.
It's fun. No, it's okay. I think it's worthy content because obviously you get. I find with this it's very transient. Like you've got obviously your dedicated listeners and stuff who I love to bits and get very soppy about every week. But then there's always new people, and if you hear a very high pitched British guy talking about the Eagles, you're gonna want to know the background. So it's always important.
Exactly.
So I mean, I'm gonna flip it back and ask you a question.
Sure.
I mean, Harper Lent, how's it going?
It's going well. I'm now drinking more coffee than beer, which is more than I've ever done before. I'm starting to get the shakes, although I think I am losing pounds, which is probably a good thing. You know, it was time to slim down, and not consuming because the beers I drink now are like they're like very high in calories because I moved across the street from my favorite brewery in the world basically. And now I drink that all the time, and It's just like so high calorie. So it's been good to get away from the beer for a little bit, but it's going well. I have been able to. I'll just say this: Kayla Harper may or may not be aware of the videos. I don't know how.
Really?
I don't know what her reaction is to the videos. But she may or may not be aware of the Harper Lent videos.
When you say may or may not, you haven't been DM sliding, have you, Jack?
I have not. No, I someone sent it to her. So Someone sent the videos to her. It was not me saying, "Hey, check me out."
It's like, hey, if you're ever in the area, and Bryce doesn't want to
Yeah. Well, they'll be in the area soon, so we'll see.
I mean, where did the idea come from? Was it just a sarcastic, it's going to take forever? Because what would have happened if he'd signed a day later?
Yeah, I mean, I was at the point where this thing had been dragging on for so long that I thought it'd be funny to sarcastically put the pressure on the Phillies to get it done and get Phillies fans to kind of rally the team and get them to get this thing done. I was kind of just sitting on my couch and I texted James. I was like, I think this would be funny. And then we did it on the podcast. I put out a video, and then everyone else started sending in videos. So and like not. Like people were saying, yeah, I've stopped raising my kids. I'm not petting my dog anymore. I'm not drinking iced tea. So it turned into something that I thought was really funny. But yeah, no, it was just like I thought it'd just be funny to sarcastically put the pressure on the Phillies to get this thing done. Obviously, it didn't work. It's been like 2 weeks since I did it. So they need to figure it out.
I mean, you could be going a whole 40 days here. That's a concern. But I mean, for me, this whole Phillies off-season's been new because I mean, I loosely follow baseball, and by loosely I mean I put money on it and watch it through the betting app, and then try to work out what's going on. So for me, I mean, obviously knowing Bryce Harper, like, you know, one of the big names, but stat-wise, I don't have a clue. And basically, one of our writers is running like a poll on our Twitter page where he's doing like an all one and done team, and he puts all these stats up, and it's great. And I have to put them out, and I have no idea what each stat means, and I keep getting them wrong. And I've no like OPS. Everyone's like, "Oh, Bryce has got a better OPS," and I'm like, "Bloody love on position slugs. That's good. Love them. They're my favourite." And I just don't know. So I mean, this is all new to me. I'm kind of a bit overwhelmed at the minute.
Yeah, well, the advanced stats stuff is kind of crazy. I mean, like I played baseball my whole life. I played into college, so like I think I have a pretty good grasp of all the stats and whatnot. But even I'm like, what does that even mean? But OPS is just on base plus slugging, so it's not super crazy. But listen, man, I hope that you fall in love with the Phillies now, because, well, I guess you did kind of start during the run a little bit, but you're kind of on the tail end of the run. But the Phillies, when they're rolling in Philadelphia, it is awesome. Like, it is, for as much as people think the Sixers are popular, and they are, the Phillies are the second most popular team in Philadelphia. It's just that they've been in the dumps for 8 years now.
Yeah.
That now that they're starting to crawl out of it. I'm excited for you to get on the Phillies bandwagon. Not bandwagon, but like
don't you get people coming at you pitchforks if you say that word. Jesus.
No, no. But I'm excited for you to experience good Phillies baseball, because I think you'll really enjoy the sport. It's a great sport.
I enjoy it's bizarre because I can watch baseball, but I hate cricket. And cricket is like a staple English sport where you put the radio on, you have a beer, and you listen to an old man talking very posh, very slowly, very softly for 5 hours, and it bores the life out of me. But baseball, I'm like, you play that 5-hour 14th inning game, son. Go on.
Liam, I was in Ireland last year 2 years ago after I graduated from college, and me and my wife now, we were walking around Ireland, and we found this, I guess, just cricket game going on. We sat down and watched it. I have no idea what is going on in cricket. I was so confused. Like the ball was just like going behind people, and like I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, you people are crazy. I don't know what you're. I have no idea.
It's the same with rugby. Like, I have no idea what happens in rugby, and that complexity-wise is a much simpler sport to understand than American football. But I'll sit here and go, well, in a cover one robber, this safety's going to do this, he's going to do that, and in rugby, I'm like, why are they passing sideways? Why are they lifting him up? What's a scrum?
The only thing I know about rugby is that Jordan Mailata is going to be a Hall of Fame left tackle. That's all I care about. That's all I care about with rugby at this point. I have no idea what's going on with rugby, and I am lost on cricket.
I mean, what about soccer? Are you a soccer guy?
Now, listen, I'm not going to lie to you. I scored 32 goals my 9-year-old year, but I am not a soccer guy. I do like the World Cup.
Yes, it's coming home. There we go.
I know that sounds like a fraudulent thing to say, and I love FIFA, but honestly, like, I feel like I can only do so many sports. So I am not a soccer guy.
I mean, the only thing I can ever liken the Eagles fan base to was England in the World Cup this year. Like, that for me was the greatest summer I've ever experienced in my life. Like,
they went on a crazy run.
It was just, because thing is, the whole football's coming home song has been such a meme since like 1998, because we always just crash out and do horrifically. And this was the first year where it was like, oh my god, we're singing it ironically, but we're actually winning. And then it just become this actual belief. And you had like 70-year-olds in pubs in wheelchairs cheering them on, and everyone day drinking and stopping buses to cheer. Like, it was amazing. Best summer.
That's basically the Eagles. I mean, that's basically what it was. So I that's cool.
It was honestly, like, next World Cup, just make sure you wear an England shirt and scream it's coming home, because it's the most validating thing. Like, you just have to adopt that team now.
Well, yeah, because the U.S. isn't in it, right? They didn't make it, or they didn't make. Okay, well, they're embarrassing.
I couldn't imagine not making the World Cup. Not in like a condescending way. I just think it would break me.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just, come on, like, you're one of the 4 biggest countries in the world, and you can't make the World Cup.
I know.
It's embarrassing.
It takes some doing, put it that way. But on to more positive notes, we're going to talk about the Eagles, because we've just had a little like coffee catch up, I think, at this point.
Yeah, basically. I am actually having coffee right now, so it makes sense.
I had mine earlier. I've had 2 cups. It's not going well. It's been a stressful week. The website, for some reason, has got very slow, and we don't know why. But I phoned web support and they broke it. So I've just spent the last week on the phone to web support, and they're all based in the Philippines, which is fine, but there's a lot of miscommunication there. So I'm, coffee's keeping me going right now.
Sounds good.
But on to the Eagles. I mean, if you were to look back at last season and sum it up, like I always ask this question because it's easy to look back and be, I think, disappointed because obviously it was so up and down and probably the lows outweigh the highs. But what's the general vibe for you, like just looking back on that year?
I would say it was like a salvage season. Like, obviously, it was kind of disappointing the first part of it. And like it was honestly frustrating because I didn't expect this team to have that kind of Super Bowl hangover. But it was an interesting case study from a Super Bowl hangover standpoint. Obviously, we had never experienced a Super Bowl before.
Yeah.
And now that we saw it in plain sight, what a Super Bowl hangover can do, I think it's like it was one of those things where I kind of just stored it in the back of my head for the next time they win a Super Bowl. It was like, remember this when we're talking about the next Eagles championship and the year after that. So it was kind of one of those things for me. And I say it as, like, we did this whole, after the season was over, we ran a bunch of polls and whatnot, and everyone was like, was this Eagles season a success? And I said it's not, obviously was not a success. I mean, Carson got hurt again and whatnot. I would just say it was a salvage season. Like, they went down to Dallas, lost that game. And obviously they went on the run, and it was great. And Foles mania, creeped up again, and it was crazy. And if Alshon doesn't drop that ball, they're probably in the Super Bowl again. But like, for me, it was a salvage season. It was a ups and downs, frustrating, and like, I would say that a lot of members of the coaching staff and players got lucky that they went on that run, because I'm not sure like Mike Groh is back. I don't think he would have been back if they just went into the tank the rest of the season. I'm not sure Sproles or Peters. Like, I think they might have gone in a different direction if they just tanked the rest of the season. So I think them going on that run did save a couple people some jobs. But yeah, it was a frustrating season. I mean, I'm a big Carson guy, and him getting hurt again and whatnot, and then the Foles stuff happening, and then Foles versus Wentz, it was brutal. And he just needs to be healthy. He just needs to be healthy. He needs to figure it out. Him and Embiid are like the same guy. Like, they're both kind of reckless. They're both supremely talented, and they get hurt by always going balls to the wall. Like, they need to just calm down and just play the position. So frustrating with Carson getting hurt again, but things will be better. I was fine with this season.
I think you touched on like a few really good points there. I mean, I personally view it as a success just contextually, because I think if you were to put any other team in that situation, say, right, let's say your starting right tackle is going to play woefully for 5 weeks, then complain he's not in the Pro Bowl, all right, despite having an amazing... So that's gone. So your first 5 weeks, starting right tackle is playing really bad with an injury. Then on the other side of the ball, you're without your starting quarterback, let's say, for 3 weeks. That's a thing. That was easy to forget that Foles started off the season. You've then got a defensive secondary where you lose all of it, pretty much, where Captain Cravon's going to come and save the day. You've got Timmy Jernigan that doesn't come back for the majority of the year, where you've got then depth defensive tackles coming in and really doing nothing, so Fletcher Cox does all the heavy lifting. You've then got a running game that's non-existent, and it's like, you had Mike Wallace that went out, Alshon Jeffrey was out for 2 weeks. Like, I don't know. I couldn't name it. Maybe outside of somewhere like Seattle or New England, where the culture is that strong, where that team could have got to where they are.
I would say it would have been a success if Carson was the one that led them to the playoffs. Because because now with Foles, it's like there's still so many question marks heading into the next season. Like, if it was Carson was the guy that rallied the team from the loss in Dallas and came back and won 3 straight and got in the playoffs, I think that's a success. But since it was Foles that did it, was kind of the backup quarterback thing. And obviously, football is a team game, but obviously the quarterback position is the most important position in football, or the most important position in sports. So if Carson was the one that led him to the playoffs, I would say that would have been more of a success. But now with the whole Foles thing and Wentz getting hurt again, I don't know. I still think salvaged is my word.
It's interesting because you obviously then mentioned that the quarterback's the most important position in football, and I think directly correlated with that is the relationship with the offensive coordinator. And this is something I've been pounding the table for approximately 6 years now, I think, with Mike Groh, where if you think contextually, like, you go back to the start of this offseason, where from around week 14 last year to right up to week 2, that was the Nick Foles team. So it was being built around Nick Foles, the team are used to Nick Foles, yada, yada, yada. I can't believe I just said that. That's so American. And then you get to week 3, Carson Wentz comes in, but he's not been able to practice with the team. The timing's going to be off. The way the team run their offense with Nick Foles in the team is very different to how they run with Carson Wentz. Then you've got the Golden Tate trade, where Mike Groh said, yeah, it's challenging to implement him. And the city lost their minds. And the way I look at that is like, if you... For instance, you're a guy at home making a shelf, right? Your wife's out working, you're like, she needs this bookshelf done. And she comes home and goes, right, I've bought a dishwasher as well, but you've got to put it together, like, right now, it's important. And you're like, well, yeah, but the shelf, like, we need the shelf. And she's like, nah, but the dishes, we need the dishes. And you're like, we've already got a sink, we can wash the dishes. In fact, we've got 2 sinks. And it's like, it's always going to be a challenge anyway, because it's a very different skill set to what the Eagles had. You've already got 2 slot receivers who you're rotating around. You know, you've got so many questions around the offensive identity. I feel like Mike Groh for this year should have been given a pass, because he was without his starting quarterback for the entire offseason, still running the Nick Foles offense. The Golden Tate trade, I don't care who your offensive coordinator is, was always going to be difficult, because mid-season wide receiver trades always are. Like, if we go back and look at that Dallas Cowboys one a few years ago, if you go back and look at Randy Moss when he was traded mid-season, there's always that steep decline because there's so much change that has to happen.
Yeah, and I'll just say, like, Groh, I was a bit frustrated with how he handled the media at some point. It felt like he wasn't prepared for that side of it. Yeah. Obviously, we don't know what's going on inside the building. But yeah, I mean, the case you make makes a lot of sense. I mean, there was a lot of outstanding circumstances that dictates a first year offensive coordinator. I mean, it's not like Frank Reich was unbelievable in Carson's rookie year. Like, I think it takes a little while to grow into a role, and I think Frank Reich's first year, he was kind of learning the ropes a little bit, and then a full year in the system. His next year, obviously, they had Carson playing at an MVP level. Hopefully, you get that from Mike Groh. I don't think it's all on Mike Groh, but like him coming out and saying how challenging, he needs to learn how to deal with the media and not make himself look like a dunce. Because for a lot of the season, I thought he was an absolute moron. But he did. He saved himself too. I do think that if they limped down the stretch, I don't think he's back this year. I think there was enough there where I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have been back. But Foles saved them. So hopefully, you know, they figure out a plan this offseason like they did with Reich and Peterson. They get together and have a really nice bounce back year. And listen, I don't think they did a great job with Carson this year. I mean, I think the offense might have changed a little bit with Foles in there. I mean, they went more 12 personnel, I guess. And I don't know if they had a great game plan for Carson. I can't tell if that's Carson or the coaching staff, but they need to figure that out. They need to figure out how to maximize Carson's ability, because he's going to be here for the next, hopefully, 10 years. And they no longer are going to have the insurance policy of Nick Foles.
I think that brings us on to a nice topic as well. So with regards to the insurance policy, a lot of people obviously... we're not going to mention Nick Foles or Jalen Ramsey for as long as we can, because I'm going to get PTSD. But yes, the biggest, I guess, wild card here is going to be Nate Sudfeld. And obviously he's still a restricted free agent. And if Nate Sudfeld then becomes your backup... I mean, if you're Howie Roseman, are you comfortable with Nate Sudfeld as a backup? So if, God forbid, Carson were to go down again, is Nate Sudfeld going to be able to come in and lead a team like on a magical playoff run, or at least win a game?
Well, they sure seem to think so. I mean, every one of their actions has been like, oh, we love Nate Sudfeld. And then we watch Nate Sudfeld, and it's like, why? What do you guys see with this guy? I mean, the thing I can't get over from last year that I thought was just so funny was Foles got hurt in the Texans game. Yeah. And Sudfeld comes in and they have him throw on his first pass. It's like, what are you letting Sudfeld throw for? He just came off the bench. Listen, I hope their evaluation of Nate Sudfeld is correct, and hopefully this will be year 4 for him, or I think it's year 3 or 4 for Nate Sudfeld, and hopefully looks more confident back there. They better be right in their evaluation, because I don't really know who would be a good, decent backup quarterback out there. But I think what we've learned about Carson is that you need someone that you can trust behind him if he goes down. And if their evaluation is that it's Nate Sudfeld, then roll with Nate Sudfeld. If it's not Nate Sudfeld, then you better invest in the backup quarterback position, because if you're gonna let Nick Foles go, which they are, that you have to be able to counteract the Carson injury. And for as much as I love Carson, he has been with this injury-prone label. So they better be sure that Sudfeld's the guy, and if he's not the guy, then invest in the backup quarterback position. It's already proven how important it is. But don't bring back Chase Daniel. Whatever you do, just don't bring back that guy.
That blew my mind. I remember the day where, because he moved to the Saints, didn't he? And he was like, he believed he could be a starter. And I was
it's so adorable.
It's the irony. Okay,
there was nothing cuter. There's nothing more cute than Chase Daniel thinking he could start here.
It wasn't even that. It was the irony of going, I'm going to start, so I'm just going to go and sit behind Drew Brees, the most accurate quarterback in the NFL, who's just lived in the Saints offense no matter how old he gets. Like, I've got a much better chance of starting there than if I just sit here and collect my money. And I was like, okay, fair play, Chase. And now he's behind Mitch Trubisky, where, I think he's got a much better chance of starting, because I'm not about the Trubisky hype. And I mean, that was my main, I guess, mindset going into that Bears game, was I don't buy Trubisky, like, at all. Like, I don't care how good that defense is, Trubisky will crumble.
Mitch Trubisky is horrible. I cannot believe people have talked themselves into Mitch Trubisky. If you watch Mitch Trubisky, the guy stinks. Like, he's terrible. I think people just look at overall wins and they say, oh, that's because of the quarterback. It was the same thing with Jared Goff. Like, the whole Goff thing was driving me crazy this whole offseason, or whole postseason. It's like, well, is he better than Carson? It's like, no, watch him. Like, watch these guys. They're not good. They're not good. So I was glad that Mitch Trubisky lost. And Chase Daniel, it's like, does he watch his own tape? Like, watch your own tape. You're terrible. You cannot.
Know if he's tall enough to. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, he just can't see the screen.
He's so bad.
Yeah, it blows my mind. But on the topic of quarterbacks, then, I mean, like, is there a quarterback crush that you have? Because I mean, I've always been open. Like, I die on either the Sam Bradford or the Kevin Hogan hill, and I will justify any to the death. Where Kevin Hogan, I think, does have the ability to start in the NFL, and
it's an interesting hill.
In the what? Sorry,
interesting hill to be on.
What, the Kevin Hogan one?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think my original mindset was, when the Eagles roll back to 2016, before they traded up to the first round, I was like, take a corner in round one, because I can't be dealing with Laerdus McKelvin at this point, or Nolan Cage. Right. Just get them gone, right? And then use the third round pick to take Kevin Hogan, because he comes from a Stanford offense. He was a pro star. He was quite mobile. He was good. He just has this weird throwing motion where he like propels it to the sky. And it's like, if you can work on that, let him learn behind Sam Bradford, and then jobs are good in. But then obviously it all changed, and then things went a bit differently for the Eagles, very much in favour of them. But Hogan started for the Browns a couple times, looked pretty good, I felt. And now he's in Denver, where they have no idea what they're doing, and John Elway's just infatuated with Flacco. So, who knows? I'm all for Kevin Hogan getting a start in the NFL. All
right, let's talk about Kevin Hogan. I don't know, man. I haven't watched Kevin Hogan. I haven't watched Kevin Hogan since Stanford, I don't think. But whatever. Yeah, we all have hills, man.
All right,
like mine is Aaron Altair. I'll die on Aaron Altair Hill.
Really?
I mean, we'll all have hills.
All right, what about that? Okay, could you talk me off the Sam Bradford hill? Because my hill with that one isn't that he should be starting in the NFL. Just that everyone uses this argument, he's on loads of money and he shouldn't have. Which, fair. Not really his fault he was drafted when he was, because of the different collective bargaining agreement and the rule changes around the salary. I think he was just drastically unlucky with injuries. And I think that when he's healthy, he's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL.
I don't disagree.
Yes.
I also think he has the best agent in the history of sports. For as good as Scott Boras is, at least he's representing actually really talented players. Like Sam Bradford got $20 million guaranteed last year. For what? But Sam Bradford throws a gorgeous football. I will never forget the Green Bay Packers preseason game. It was the best quarterback play I've ever seen in my entire life. He just, like, honestly, if he had Sean McVay, he'd be better than Jared Goff. Like, he could be that good, because like Jared Goff doesn't get hit really. Obviously he has sacks, but he's pretty much untouched. And if Sam Bradford had a legitimately good offensive coordinator that could scheme things up, I think he would have been okay. Like, who knows, like, how he would have been with Doug if they never trade up for Carson. I mean, we saw what Doug was able to do with Nick Foles. I mean, Sam Bradford is more talented than Nick Foles. So listen, I'm with you. I was a believer in the last 7 games of Sam Bradford in 2016. Like, his last 7 games were legitimately good, but he's just way too frail for me. Yeah. And that's the one thing I've learned in, like, when I'm trying to evaluate quarterbacks, which I don't know why. Like, I don't know why I'm saying I evaluate quarterbacks. I'm not a scout, but but when I come to, like, looking at quarterbacks, and, like, when I watch Jared Goff, I watch Sam Bradford, it's like these guys just aren't strong enough. Like Lamar Jackson, obviously an amazing talent, but he's so small that, like, I don't know how he's gonna hold up. But that's also different from Kyler Murray, who's like stout and strong, and he has the huge bottom half like Russell Wilson and stuff. So I think what you have to look at quarterbacks now is, like, do you really want the lean guy that's probably the hits are gonna hurt a little bit more, or do you want big guys that are strong and big like Carson and Andrew Luck and Cam Newton, who are also hurt? I don't know. Everyone's hurt. Everyone's hurt all the time. Just stop getting hurt.
I love that. The first 2 guys that were huge, you're like, yeah, they've been.
Yeah, they're all hurt anyway. Everyone's hurt.
But it's strange because there is a changing dynamic now with quarterbacks in the NFL, because offenses are naturally gravitating to these more mobile guys. But like you said, you don't want a wide receiver for a quarterback. You want a quarterback. You know, like you said, someone that's birch and stout. But I don't know how you battle it, because I mean, on a separate note with the whole Kyler Murray thing, I mean, if you're a baseball guy, if you're the Oakland A's, how pissed off are you right now?
Well, I mean, first off, he went number 8 overall, which he didn't. He was, like, honestly, I followed that draft pretty closely. He wasn't supposed to be in the first round because no one thought that he was gonna play baseball. And Kyler Murray convinced them to take him where they did. They paid him over slot, and now he's just gone. And I think they should be furious. Now, they probably should have been more strict in what they wrote up for him when they signed that contract, but, like, they took him 8 overall when they didn't have to. Like, teams are so scared off by him because he was going to play football and there was a chance, and they kind of did it to themselves. They should be furious, but they should have also been smarter.
It's weird. I genuinely feel like it's sort of like taking a girl on a date and she's going, yeah, let's make a thing of it. The second you make it official, she goes, nah, do you know what? I kind of like Gary. You know, like, Gary's just, I'm going to go sit with Gary for it. And you're like, well, yeah, why? The thing with it is now, if you're an NFL team, I remember I spoke to one sort of league source, but we'll go with that, or, just put it under an umbrella.
You got sources?
Well, this is it. People get annoyed, right? Because I've broken several stories. This is going to be a rant now, where I know I've been there first, okay? And a week later, some random guy from Denver, not Ben Albright, I love Ben Albright, this is a different guy from Denver, but some random guy from Denver has picked it up, and that happened this season, and I was like, are you kidding me? And then that gets taken off, and that's the one that gets featured everywhere. Whereas and it's just like, the way I view it, okay, is I'm in England, I'm talking to you via Skype call, right?
Yeah.
I can contact the same way you would get information, the same way you would call up a source, or send a text, or send an email, or talk to an agent. It's like, I do the same. I just have to work harder at it because of the time difference. But people forget, they're like, oh, well, how does Liam know anything? He's in England. I'm like, how are you listening to me? I'm in England. Like, it's the same thing. So, yeah, I've got a couple, I'll flirty got nice. But, yeah, I spoke to one guy, he basically said that the team he's affiliated with, just wasn't sold on the idea of Kyler Murray because it's that dedication thing. Like, he's going on TV saying, oh, I don't know, am I going to play football? Am I not? And if you're looking for a quarterback, that's the one surefire position you need absolutely every ounce of energy he's got in that room. And if it's kind of, oh, I don't know, am I going to hit home runs or am I going to throw dimes? Then there's no point. And it doesn't matter how talented you are, you're going to end up with a Jamarcus Russell type sort of thing.
Yeah, and I guess your concern is, like, if he struggles a little bit, is going to go back to playing baseball. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a legitimate gripe, but he's also just awesome. Like, I don't know if he's ever played bad. Like, Cliff Kingsbury said, I guess, while he was at Oklahoma or whatever, I guess, before last season, he's like, Kyler Murray's never played a bad game in his life. And I feel like that's true. Like, he came out in Oklahoma and was putting up better numbers than Baker Mayfield. Like, it was just crazy how like, he is such a freak talent. I mean, baseball, legitimately, he was an all-star caliber second baseman. Like, he's a legit second baseman, and he's also a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. Like, it just never happens anymore. It's cool. I wish they let him play both. Like, I wish you would do both, like Bo Jackson, but I guess I can't do that.
I was gonna say, I mean, I couldn't imagine. I can't even play one sport, let alone two at the same time. I mean, that would be. I mean, what do you train for in this situation? Are you training for baseball? Do you go out for spring training, or do you just kind of get ready for the draft and pro days and stuff?
Yeah, I have no idea, because like baseball is so technical with it's just he must just be such a freak natural talent that he can just kind of pick up whatever and he's automatically good at it. One of those people, the worst people on earth, the people that can just do everything, that can just do everything right.
Just that kid in school that gets straight A's and you're just there like fighting for a seat. He comes in like, yeah, I was out last night. I'm still hungover, but an A. Oh, that's cool. Nice. Didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, they don't even study. They're the worst. They are the worst people.
All right, so back onto the Eagles for just a little bit as well then. Looking ahead to this offseason, obviously free agency opens up quite soon. Where are your kind of attention being focused right now?
I would love some defensive line help. I mean, Jernigan was in and out a lot this season, and then they were playing a lot of Haloti Ngata or the corpse of Haloti Ngata. And with BG possibly leaving, Michael Bennett another year older. Although I mean, Michael Bennett, just like what a season that guy had. Yeah. He was a lot of fun. But with Barnett coming back from injury, I would like to see them shore that up. And then I still want I want as much depth on the offense and defensive line as possible. Like I think they kind of got away from that a little bit last year. They drafted Sayamalu and Vaitai in that one draft, and they haven't really addressed it since that. So I'd like to see some reinforcements in the trenches. I think I'd rather go running back in the draft than bring in a Carlos Hyde-ish kind of guy. I like Carlos Hyde, but I think I'd rather just address that in the draft. I mean, they have 8-9 draft picks, so I don't expect them to go crazy in free agency, but just seeing them shore up the trenches in either way through the draft or free agency is where my attention is focused. And also, find a competent backup. If you don't think it's Nate Sudfeld, then get a real one in here. I think the trenches is where my main focus is.
See, I'd agree. I think there are two positions, and I'm not sure if I prioritise them or not. I think one, obviously, is going to be a wide receiver 2 who can take the top off a defence. Because I think I was saying this to Elliot last week, that it's the one area of the team that just hasn't been addressed. And it's like they've tried so hard. If you think of the names, if you were to do like some big memory book, you've got Shelton Gibson, Bryce Treggs, Dorial Green-Beckham, Mike Wallace. That's in 3 years.
And Mike Wallace would have been good this year. I'm so frustrated he got hurt. Yeah. I was a big Mike Wallace guy. I thought he was going to be awesome. And it's unfortunate he got hurt. So I agree with you. Like I love that. I haven't really watched any of his tape, but that Deebo Samuels guy from South Carolina, I would love that guy. He's super fast. But I agree. I would like to see them actually address that position. It was so evident for a lot of this year. I mean, Carson really needed a guy that could take the top off the defense, and when he didn't have that, it was just Ertz over and over again. So I agree with you. I think it's a big position.
And then the second is running back, because I feel like, and this is, I don't know if it's a take or not, but the running back position for the Eagles hasn't changed since 2016. Like, personnel has, of course, but the shape of it, and it's the same problem, where week 1 to 5, fans are like hammering the table, screaming, run the ball, and then by the time it's too late and half the backs are injured, they're going, oh, we should run the ball. And then they start doing it, and then they'll bring in another guy, or they'll call up someone, and then everything magically just works. And they're like, yeah, well, it's game to game, you know, sometimes you gotta run. And I'm like, no, Doug, come on. Let's take the pressure off a quarterback. So whether it was Ryan Matthews, or whether it was Corey Clement, or Josh Adams, it's been the same pattern. If you're not running the ball, you start to a little bit and guys get injured, then you stop again, and then you start by the time it's kind of too late to have any stability with it.
I truly cannot believe that Wendell Smallwood is still on my team. Like, Wendell Smallwood must have 9 lives. That guy is so bad. Like, he has absolutely no vision. He just runs into the offensive line, and for some reason, he's been on this team for 3 years, and I don't get how. It's the biggest upset. It's the upset of the century. The upset of the century is that Wendell Smallwood, who is so bad, is still on this Eagles roster. I do not understand it. The Eagles running back position is so frustrating. Like, I thought Jay Ajayi was the guy. I loved him in Miami, and then of course he gets hurt. Corey Clement was so disappointing this year.
Yeah.
Like, what happened? What happened to Corey Clement?
I think he got injured or just, I don't know, started playing like Clash of Clans on the sideline and forgot he was meant to go in. Like, I don't know.
It was unbelievable. All of a sudden he was just not the same player at all. Like, it was crazy to me. Now maybe that's because he's a Cowboys fan from the Philadelphia area and he knew he was a fraud. But I don't know what the story is behind Corey Clement this year. It was so weird. But I would like to see I would rather than just address that in the draft. I mean, it feels like every year there's some kind of stud running back in the third or fourth round that emerges.
Don't take.
Well, I mean, Liam, like the whole 2017 draft class for running backs was freaking ridiculous, and they took Donnell Pumphrey, who was the only bad one. He was the only bad running back in the entire draft. Like, how do you mess that up?
It's strange. I think going back to Smallwood as well. So I was quite a big Smallwood guy. And I think from year one...
so was I.
Yeah, like year 1 to year 2, I was, all right, there's improvement here. And in training camp, he's like, oh, I'm going to run through people and stop being silly and trying to be indecisive. And it was like, cool, this is great. Then he gets injured again. You're like, right, fine. And then this year was the worst because there was a point in preseason where Sproles, Ajayi, Clement and Adams were like all dead. All right, yeah. And you're looking at, I can't remember the guy from Washington that I was kind of low-key rooting for. He was in for a bit. And it was literally just him and Smallwood. And you're thinking, if you're Smallwood, right, I've got nothing left to lose. Everyone around me is injured. I've been begging for an opportunity. This is it. And he did nothing in preseason. And I was like, come on, you can't squander it when it's on a plate and someone is just trying to force feed you. And you're still finding a way to throw it up.
Well, he did it. I don't know how he does it.
He did it.
He is still on this roster. I don't get how. He's so bad. They really can't find a replacement for Wendell Smallwood. Like, people off the street are better than him. Like, I don't get it. But this is a lot of Wendell Smallwood take. I'm just shocked that he has lasted 3 years. I thought he was gonna get cut this year. Every Eagles beat writer. I'm gonna say this. Elliot Shore Parks told me he was getting cut this year, and he didn't get cut. And this is Elliot. This is all Elliot's fault.
So, I mean, are there any other players like Wendell where you're just like, how you've genuinely been confused by in the last couple of years or not seen the hype around?
Well, I mean, Jordan Matthews.
Whoa, okay, all right. Let's get into this one. Go on, hit me.
But that dude's a tight end now. He needs to just start eating a lot more and becoming a tight end because he's too big for wide receiver now. He's just not. He's nothing.
He's at a career high in yards per reception. Good.
Come on, that was like 2 catches.
No, I thought, honestly, so I did a film ream on this I've just dropped a pen. I did a film ream on this a couple of weeks ago where I was genuinely surprised. He's a lot more, I think you're right, he's a lot more physical in his routes, but he's able to kind of shed contact a lot easier now. And because I think he was so used to being in the slot and doing that with ease.
No, you had Elliott on last week. I know what this is. You had Elliott on, and now you're Matthews up.
My bias with Jordan, I mean, so Jordan Matthews was my first ever interview when I was about... Honestly,
look at that.
21 when I was 20, that was a few years ago, and I tweeted him and I'd be amazing to interview, and he actually messaged me, and from there he came on, and then he did another interview a year later, and the Eagles actually did an article on me, and he left a quote on that as well, and it was like, he's just a nice guy, and I think when you look at his play, I think there are worse receivers on that team. If you're going to power rank them, I think Matthews. If I'm Harry Roseman, bringing Matthews back to me is a no question because he's best friends with Carson Wentz. Where did you know, Jack Fritz, okay, that when Carson Wentz's dog had puppies, Carson gave one to Jordan. See?
Oh, look at that. That's adorable.
That's the inside information you don't get anywhere else. Exclusive. Right?
Interesting. Listen, I'm just saying, so I know what this is. He was nice to you. He gave you an interview, and now you're all Jordan Matthews up. I got it. It's no big deal.
I genuinely think... I can't. Okay, so the big gripe with Jordan Matthews previously was always the drop thing, right?
I never bought into that. I didn't care about the drops. I thought it was way overblown.
Same, but can you think of a time this season where, since returning in like week 3, you looked at a Jordan Matthews game and thought he was bad then?
Well, he just didn't.
There you go.
He didn't do anything. He was fine. I mean, yeah, if he's my 4th or 5th receiver, I don't care. But like. Oh my God, the Jordan Matthews, like, he still can't separate from me. Like he still has no separation.
I would say I'm going to send you a link to the film room when we're done, and you can look at because there's a lot of him getting off the line and just kind of, especially on like curls and comebacks. He's just a little bit more sassy now. I'd say he's like a bit more aware and got that swagger back. It's the most complete.
Jordan Matthews is sassy.
Well, it's happening. I knew this podcast would descend into chaos eventually. But yeah, I think there's a little bit more of that swagger in his play. Like there's a more confident vibe to it.
Liam.
Yeah.
Did he have am I missing something? When did he have a catch after Alshon came back? Like I literally
okay.
Have, one catch a game and now he's sassy? You're throwing sassy on him?
Did you watch the Eagles game in London, right?
Yeah.
93 yards. Led the team in receiving. Was a third down machine.
All right, man. You beat down. No, that was all right, listen. What did he do what did he do week 14 on? Did he have like more than one catch a game?
Wow, the thing is you got to bear in mind is that you had the Golden Tate trade as well, which definitely didn't help things. But I mean, there was a game, was it against the Bears? He was pretty good. Like, honestly, if you go back and I'll send you a link to the film room when we're done. Okay, and you can listen to me talk at you even more because I'm sure you're thrilled with it at this point. And just see what you think because I'm genuinely interested now. I'm like, am I seeing something that everyone else is missing? Like, have I got Matthew's tinted glasses on? Or is he a competent receiver and everyone else is missing it because of previous misconceptions? Ooh.
I don't know, man.
Ooh.
I don't know. You and Elliot can drive this hype train around Jordan Matthews.
Well, Elliot said he's going to wingman me when I get to Philadelphia, so maybe that's, we found a mutual bonding point, and now we're...
When are you coming to Philly? Are you coming to Philly anytime soon?
Well, I'm going to try... This is the thing. I'm going to try and get out there for my birthday, which is April 6th, because it's the last Flyers home game. So if I can get there and cover that from the press box, that's like my, the perfect birthday present.
Nice. Well, I mean, I wouldn't call the Flyers game the perfect birthday present, but sure.
It's a good one. I mean, okay, for context-wise, when I was 21, okay, I mean, what did you do for your 21st, out of interest?
My 21st, I was in college, and I think we just, went to the bars, and, I mean, there's only 3 bars in Bloomsburg, so, we just hit up all those bars. It was definitely nothing crazy.
Okay, so my 21st, so in England, 21 is, your big age. I guess in America it must be as well, because that's your drinking age, right?
Yes.
Okay, so 21 here, although we've been, drinking for 3 years, my friends were like, it's 21, it's, the big age, so what we're going to do, I live in Devon, which is 5 hours from London. They're like, we're going to surprise you, we're going to get a trip. It's not a surprise when they told me. They're like, you're going to get a trip to London, okay, you're going to go to casino, suited and booted, have, an amazing weekend, right? Do you know what actually ended up happening?
What?
I watched a non-league football team play in a city an hour away from me.
Nice.
And I was that wasn't quite what I expected, or as glamorous. So I think in comparison to big birthday weekends, it's not hard to beat that one.
So I don't know if you've seen on Twitter, but the breaking news about Robert Kraft?
No, what's happened? Is he 21 as well?
No, he got arrested in Jupiter in a sex sting operation.
What?
Robert Kraft. So things are going well.
Is this to do with my birthday or what?
No, I was just on Twitter. I feel like we have to comment on Robert Kraft.
So happy birthday in a month. Robert Kraft's basically, he's a paedophile. So that's
Robert Kraft is arrested in Jupiter in a sexting operation. What is going on with the Patriots?
I mean, what's a sexting operation?
I have no idea.
How does that work? Can you imagine?
Man, what is going on?
Dude, an episode of Law and Order where they're all just sat there on their phones going, "Oh my god, he's sent me a dick pic."
Jupiter, Florida police chief confirms Patriots owner Robert Kraft charged in prostitution ring bust.
Wow. That's iconic. Well, I bet now Meek Mill is, counting all those times he's associated well.
Oh, wow. All right. Sorry to derail a podcast, but oh my God, that's
crazy. I mean, I'm always going to associate that news with my birthday now. So if I'm out there in Philadelphia, and this one's for you, Robert, you paedophile.
Yes. What a weirdo. Okay.
Anyway, okay, so we've got one more feature on. I don't know how. I'm sure you are the podcast's biggest fan at this point. Are you aware of the thank you next section that we do? Just say yes if you're not, because then it sounds better. But
I am totally aware of it.
There you go. Right. Okay. Well, I need no explanation then. No. So essentially, we get obviously fan questions in that we can sift through. The idea originally was that it would take 60 seconds per question. And then we go thank you next and move on because, that's how it's supposed to go. And it didn't really end that way. But we've got a couple in.
Okay.
So just imagine in the background at this point, Ariana Grande's instrumental starts playing. She adds a bit of romance to it,
Beautiful.
So thank you next. So DJZ777, that's a lot of sevens. It says, hello my friend, enjoying the coverage of our beloved birds. Question, the Eagles win the Super Bowl this next year. Why so? Thanks, brother. Alright, so I'm guessing he's asking why the Eagles win the Super Bowl next year. Make the case.
Why the Eagles win the Super Bowl next year. So here is my thoughtful analysis, is that they don't pay Carson.
If you mention Jordan Matthews now, I swear to God.
They cut Jordan Matthews. So here's, I think I'm not going to say the only way they win the Super Bowl next year, but I think a big key to this is whether or not they pay Carson. Because if they don't pay Carson and they wait to pay him after next season, if he can prove he can stay healthy and whatnot, then you can allocate more resources into next year's team. Whereas if they pay Carson in March, then they're kind of killing themselves cap-wise, and they may not be able to afford the free agents they need to, and it pretty much turns into kind of a down retooling year in a way, where you have those 8 draft picks or 9 draft picks, and you implement them into your roster, and maybe you don't bring back Darren Sproles, maybe you don't bring back Jason Peters, maybe you cut the big money contracts out because now you're paying your quarterback $30+ million a year. So I think it ultimately comes down to if they pay Carson, if they don't pay Carson, because I think if they don't pay Carson, he's gonna have a whole offseason where he's working with his guy. He takes them to North Dakota. They bond out there. They have some bison burgers. And he comes back and he looks like MVP Carson again. Like he's fully recovered from the back injury. The knee is now 2 years behind him. And they're able to not pay him, hold off on the contract, and they can try to field a really good team. So for me, if they want to win the Super Bowl next year, it is they don't pay Carson. Now you run the risk of making your franchise quarterback mad and not giving him the contract when he probably and his agent probably thinks that he deserves it. So do you run that risk and try to run it back and win another ring, or do you pay him and kind of have a retooling year in a way? I think it ultimately comes down to that.
The thing with that, I'd say really quickly, is that if you pay him now, Wentz is going to be at a massive disadvantage because of you're going to go into a negotiation going like, Sup Howie, so, you saw that 2017 season, you know the deal. And Howie's going to go, yeah, but I also saw a torn ACL, and then you not planting the leg, and then you're hurting your back, so we're going to offer you a significant amount less and incentivize it. And I think Wentz will want the bigger deal. So you run the risk in that sense if you don't pay him this year, where the Eagles are going to get a better deal. If Wentz balls out again and has another MVP level season, the price is going to be extortionate.
Yeah, and maybe he wants to bet on himself in that way, because right now you'd be getting Carson at a discount. So maybe they do bet on. Maybe he does bet on himself that way and say, hey, I'll play this year on my rookie deal, help me win a Super Bowl, and then we'll take care of the contract after that. I think that's one way to go about it for sure.
All right, thank you. Next, we've got Anthony Castellano. See, I've got to try and work in these American pronunciations. Brilliant. That was good. Would like to see the Eagles upgrade at running back through the draft or free agency. Who could they get? Ooh.
Let me break out the Google machine. I honestly haven't really gotten into draft stuff. I've been so consumed with Bryce Harper stuff that I haven't gotten into it. But I'll just say this. I don't want to take one in the first round, or probably not the second round. I hate the idea of a first round running back. And I would rather pay a running back not pay the running back. I'd rather draft a running back than pay a running back, especially when it comes down to what you have to do with Carson.
Another one. I'm just genuinely intrigued by your response to this one. So someone's tweeted saying, tell me why the Eagles trading Wentz for a first round and others, keeping Foles, signing Bell, trading for AB, adding Kappa's QB2 is something that is not on the Eagles front office table right now.
That sounds like a one of our callers. I mean, everyone's like, well, why don't they just go get Le'Veon, or why don't you go get Le'Veon and AB and whatnot? Listen, do people think that Nick Foles is not going to get a contract of more than $20 million? Like, Carson's going to get probably a $30+ million contract, and Nick Foles is still going to make $25 million. It's not like it's going to be some kind of huge discount. I think people just think that Nick Foles is going to take a $5 million contract for the next couple of years. Listen. Nick Foles has never played a full season, and he's never proven he's been a good starter, like a good long-term starter. He has been for me this season when he came in, they rallied around the idea of Nick Foles saving the season, and it kind of got them refocused. But that team was crap in the first 2 weeks of the season when Nick Foles was practicing with them all the time, and he was the quarterback. And then when he had to save the season, I think it was a rallying point. It wasn't like for as great as he played okay. For as okay as Nick Foles played down the stretch, the defense was way better. The offensive line was way better. The play calling was way better. It wasn't all Nick Foles why this whole thing took off. So every one of you Foles people, just relax, okay? Carson's the guy, and let him just be the guy. So that's my answer to the question.
I just going to have to hold you back in a minute, getting a bit fired up. So thank you, Nick.
Liam, I'm not lying to you. I am in the studio, and I have Joe G, and he is on his frickin' Foles thing, and then the callers, they're all lining up, and every single time it gets into this argument, I start just throwing my headphones around. I am so angry. It makes me. I am so fired up with the Foles thing. I cannot believe it happened again. Like when the whole thing was going down, I was like, this is not happening again.
The one thing that gets me, and it has been angering me, okay, so this goes back to Liam having sources, right? I put out an article about, I want to say a month ago, before the Eagles had Nick Lation saying they're going to try and pay the 20 mil and then Foles will rescind. Now, that was predicted in that article. Little mic drop there.
Yeah.
So there was a massive vibe around, the Eagles are going to franchise him and tag him because they did it a few years ago with Matt Castle, and now we're going to get Jalen Ramsey and Leonard Fournette and Antonio Brown and Le'Veon. And it's like, stop, it's not happening. There is no way it would happen. That trade and tag thing was able to fleece job for a reason, and someone that was like as close as you could be to that trade told me like it was a miracle. Like the team didn't expect it. The Patriots were not expecting that to happen. Oh wow, really? That's happening? Okay, cool. Like, it was so weird. And if you're a team like Jacksonville, like Miami, looking at Foles, knowing he's walked into free agency once, why would you pay 25 mil? Like, just to have the same negotiation of a restructure? Like, why? You know, if he's going to be tagged, you'd be like, okay, fine, well, we'll just go and get someone else. It's a bridge quarterback anyway. I don't get, like, no team is going to take on a tag and trade. And let alone a tag and trade where you're then having to, at the very least, give up more than the compensatory pick from 2020. So that's at least a third round 2019. Like, the whole Ramsey thing, no. Like, no, stop. Like, stop.
Also, they're not trading Jalen Ramsey for Nick Foles.
Exactly.
Like Jalen Ramsey is top 3 cornerback in the league. Like, let's relax.
And he's like 12 years old. There's so much room to grow. Like, you're just not going to do that.
I know.
Blows my... Honestly, I've spent, I reckon, a month with the same guys on Twitter who keep putting out saying, they're going to tag and trade. It's like, this isn't Madden. You can't just tag and trade a player and keep offering until the green bar goes up. Like, it doesn't work like that.
I know.
But we had a couple more questions, and they're basically the same thing on running back. So I just wanted to say thank you to Donovan and Dr. Shrek, which is a good name, for asking those. Just a little shout out. And the last one from Cameron Stubbs, thank you, Nick, says, how do we fix a secondary via trade, the draft, or free agency?
Rodney McLeod just has to get healthy. Like, I don't think the secondary is that huge of a problem. Like, they just got crushed with injuries this year. I mean, honest to God, Liam, when you were watching the Saints game, and was it Andrew Hawkins? Who was that? Like, who the hell was that? I followed the Eagles. I watched every single transaction thing they did. I have no idea who that was. So for them to fix the secondary, they just gotta get healthy. Like, they just have to get healthy. They have enough young talent. I am still a Sidney Jones believer. He was too good at Washington to be as bad as he's been. And listen, I just think that they just gotta get healthy. Because like they started 10 cornerbacks this year. There's 10 cornerbacks that were starting, like, or outside. Like, and obviously Cravion LeBlanc was amazing, and I'm so glad that they found him, and he's already one of my favorite Eagles. Yeah. But they just gotta get healthy. I mean, hopefully Cravion could be the slot guy next year. Sidney can stay healthy. Jalen can stay healthy. But I don't think it's that huge of concern. Rodney McLeod, we saw what happened when he went down. And we learned that Avonte Maddox can step in if they need to. I just think it's health. I think they'll be fine in secondary.
I think that, yeah, when you asked about Andrew Hawkins, I was honestly too busy getting flustered over Crayvon LeBlanc, because the Captain Crayvon movement defined the 2018 season for me. And
he's awesome.
I know, he's emotional. I want to get him on the podcast. Like, him and his mum follow me on Twitter because of the Captain Crayvon movement. And I'm like, I've got to shoot my shot in the DMs, but previous history suggests that that's not my forte. So, we've got to work on our technique a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think, the secondary's not that bad. I think maybe, if you're looking at it grand scheme, obviously Darby's going to go. So do you still view Mills as a starter? If so, you then again probably have Jalen Mills, maybe Sidney Jones outside, and Avonte Maddox in the slot. You're going to need a safety. Do you move Douglas there, which I've been hammering the table for like 4 years? I don't know. There's got to be at the very least is safety depth behind McLeod. Like, you need to have a running mate while Jenkins is in the box, because as of right now, it's McLeod on his own. But in terms of corners, I think they've got a plethora. Like, if anything, you want to trade one away to get more assets to replenish the safeties, that would be the way that I approach it.
Yeah, and you have to decide whether or not you're going to move Jalen or Rasul to safety, because one of those guys are a safety.
Okay, here's a question on that note, then. This is my thank you next. So it is 3rd and 12. There's 56 seconds left in the game. You're up by 3, okay? And in the Super Bowl, which cornerback do you want one-on-one with Julio Jones? Jalen Mills or... Well, you can pick any Eagles cornerback.
Well, I guess because Darby's gone, right? Like, we're not going to factor in Darby.
You can have Darby if you want. You might be hobbling a bit, but...
Yeah, well, you might be. I would probably go Darby, Mills, Douglas.
See, I go straight with Douglas.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't tell with Rasul. Like, obviously the plays in the ball are great, but I also feel like he also kind of lucks out because the ball just kind of finds him. I can't tell if he's actually in great position. And he's also so slow because he's big. I don't know where I'm at with Rasul. Great tackler. He was awesome at the end of last year. I just wonder if he gets exposed, if he plays a lot more. Like, there's a reason why the Eagles didn't play him for a lot of the season, and why they went and brought in corners from elsewhere until they had to play Rasul Douglas.
Well,
like, there's something to that.
It's funny because a little birdie told me, and it's, again, I don't know how much validity there is to this or not, because a lot of it's going to be locker room stuff. But last year, when Darby went down, and so not the season just gone, but the year beforehand, where it was like week 1, and Douglas came in, performed very well, I thought. When he was then benched for Darby coming back, and those first few weeks back he struggled, Douglas grew very, very unhappy with the fact that he knew he could be out there arguably doing better. And there was a little bit, this is what I've been told, of a disagreement between himself, Unlin and Schwartz as to like who really deserved to be starting. And ever since then, Douglas was kind of like, you know, the Black Swan. So Black's Ugly Duckling? It will get Black Swan's a musical. It was like the Ugly Duckling. So he just sort of like in the back, like they really didn't want to give him the opportunity, because it's sort of like, you know, when they benched Nigel Bradham for like 3 plays against the Lions because of the umbrella thing, and then realised it was a bad idea. Yeah. Sort of like that, only with Douglas there was a lot more leverage because Darby was actually very good. So this year, it took a lot. Like, they literally bought in Dexter McDougal, didn't? Before they even gave Douglas a shot, they bought in Dexter McDougal off the street. And everyone's like, what's going on? And then they played Douglas, and then Schwartz was like, oh, he's come on a long way, he's done very well. And it's like, well, yeah, probably could have saved yourself about 300 passing yards if you'd, you know, learned to let go of a grudge. If that's the case, I don't know. From what I understand, there was a bit of a riff-raff between 3 people, because Douglas was a bit unhappy that he was benched after doing so well in absence of Darby.
Yeah, I don't know. That makes a lot of sense, but we'll see. I was encouraged by Rasul's end of the season. I will say that.
So there you go. You've had inside information of Carson Wentz giving away a puppy and an angry Rasul Douglas. I mean, you learn something new every day, right?
It's been worth it. I would say it's been worth my time.
Good. That's always good feedback. If you'd come and said, you know what, I really don't think this was worth it. You know, it's a bit of a waste of an hour, really. No,
it's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. So just before we let you go, because I know we said like midday and it's now 8 minutes past, so I've just got this image of like your wife just kind of like pointing at a watch right now, and you just kind of having
she's at work, so it's all good.
Okay, cool. So what have you got planned for the rest of the day, out of interest?
Well, it's gonna sound exciting, but I had to learn how to use a new software at work. Ooh. So we're ditching our audio vault and we're moving to wide orbit. So I have to retrain myself how to do my job, which is gonna be a lot of fun. So I have to do that, and then I have to listen to the Phillies on the radio because unfortunately they're not on TV. I had to break down this Robert Kraft story, which I cannot wait to read more about, and I can't wait to hear. I can't wait to hear Bill Simmons' meltdown. And then we have the evening show, the evening show from 6 to 10. And I don't know who's on 10 to 2, but so I am listening to a lot of sports talk radio for the rest of the day, which is, I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if you want to listen to too much sports radio.
Yeah, just real quick. Like, does it get, because obviously the whole thing with sports talk radio is that, because you've got to be on like 24/7 pretty much, like to a degree, that like the topics run dry quick, like especially in the off season. Like if it's mid season, you've got a load to talk about. But it took about a week for it to be, did Alshon Jeffrey cost the Eagles the season? Like, was this all on him? And you're like, that lasted 4 days? Like, does it get annoying? Do you get frustrated with that sort of thing?
I was really frustrated with the Wentz Foles stuff. Like, I was just dreading having to go in and talk about it because it just infuriates me. Yeah. But now that we've been able to talk about Harper and we've been able to talk a lot of Phillies, I've enjoyed it. Like, I enjoy being able to, like, I love the Eagles, but we talk so much Eagles that it's nice to be able to break things up every once in a while, and it's been nice being able to talk some Phils. So I would say I don't really get drained out with it. It's more just figuring out the new angle we can kind of go into the conversation about. But the Foles Wentz stuff was dragging towards like 3 weeks ago. It was very frustrating.
I can imagine. So, guys, if you don't follow Jack on Twitter yet, or his burner account, Jack Fritz WIP on Twitter. And what's the burner account that's not yours? That I think we should just shamelessly promote anyway because of the iconicness of it.
Let me look it up. It is at Jack Fritz fans.
Yeah, you're just gonna get a load of random people follow him and be like, "What's going on?"
Yeah, at Jack Fritz fans. I don't know who it is, but yes.
Amazing. And obviously, so just a quick plug for yourself as well. Like, so you've got obviously the Go Birds pod. See, I feel a bit bad promoting that because that's competition, but I'll let you off because you're nice. So it's
well, Elliot was on last week. He's also a part of it.
Yeah, that's true. I kept him quiet. No. Yes. And then obviously you've got the High Hopes podcast as well for all your baseball needs, which is something I'm trying to pay a lot more attention to, so I understand what on percentage slugging means now. Is that right?
It's on base plus slugging.
Jesus Christ, close.
And anything over 1,000 is very good. And Bryce Harper already has a season of 1,100 OPS, which is very rare that a player can do that.
I'll tell you, to have 1,000% of slugs, that's bloody good. Well done, Bryce.
Sure. Yep.
You just have me on as like your baseball encyclopedia, and
yes.
It'll never go badly. And also then you've got the Art of the Tate podcast as well, which I'm sure for anyone who loves hot takes will take it super, super as it should be, under their breath and just a bit of fun, right? That's how it goes.
Yeah, it's all in good fun. It's not a serious podcast.
Amazing stuff. Well, Jack, thank you so much for coming on, man. It genuinely means a lot. And if you've enjoyed this podcast, be sure to subscribe. All the links below. We've got Stitcher, Spreaker, iTunes, Spotify, trying to listen, iHeartRadio, and obviously the cassette that you've lost in your basement. So it's on that as well. Plug that in.
Wow.
From myself, Liam Jenkins, we'll see you next time.